Good afternoon, good evening, and good morning, wherever you are. Hope your day is good and you're enjoying life. Now, I was doing a job yesterday in this old geezer's house. Had a problem with his caller ID. Didn't seem to work on his phone. And it turned out to be that he had a fax machine, which I hadn't seen for quite a long time. Even though I've used the fax machine quite a lot. In the 90s, I used it a hell of a lot. But what it was that the actual fax machine was plugged in first, and then his telephone line, which had a display, the phone had a display on it, and the caller ID wasn't coming through. So when I just basically got the phone that needed to have caller ID presenting itself in front of the actual fax itself. Anyway, it got it working. And while I was there, there were two stories that I sort of was glancing at while I was there working, and both on Sky News in the UK. One of the stories that came up was I think it's the police commissioner, female police commissioner, that was saying that the police needs to stop wasting their time and money on stupid, nonsensical, so-called misogyny crime, which she was saying is misogyny is not a crime. The hatred of women is not a crime. Misandry, the hatred of men, is not a crime. Yet the lesbian feminist bitches have made sure that misogyny is a crime, and that's why you've seen this nonsense coming through in the UK. Ridiculous, absolutely, totally ridiculous. Anyway, she said, "Look, the police have got better things to be doing. There are some serious crime, and this takes up money and resources that could be better used elsewhere." It's not that serious harassment of either sex is not serious. But the trouble is, it is sexist to just say, crime, misogynistic crimes or something. It just deals with one gender. The police force is there for everybody, not just for women. But it just seems to be that women seem to use the police force extensively to fight against men on a regular basis. Anyway, so I need to look at that. I didn't fully see it, but I thought it was quite interesting that a woman with common sense could see that this is just silly, and the police have really got better things to be doing than investigating things that could easily be dealt with by being adult. Anyway, the other one that I caught while I was there was this walkout by Google employees over alleged sexual harassment payouts, which which was just unbelievable. Nobody knows exactly, other than the so-called accused and the people in Google. I don't know if we've got the full what was alleged, but the point was, at the end of the day, if there was sexual harassment and it was serious, why wasn't it handed over to the police at the time? And then a proper investigation could have been done, which would have then probably stopped them from getting their payout. I mean, I mean, there are degrees of harassment or so-called harassment, um, but we don't know the stories. I mean, look at Hensari, for instance. Um, the kind of what he had to go through by a stupid, silly fucking bitch accusing him of, I don't know, of what was he really accusing him of? Sexual harassment, or I mean, she went to a part, she orchestrated this meeting with Ansari because she's not telling us the truth, because we can see already the nonsense that occurred, and then basically now try to destroy this guy's career because of a sexual encounter that she herself was not in control of. She wanted to be in control. She went to this, I don't know what it was, party that Ansari was there, and he had a camera, and he was taking pictures, and she came up to him, asked him about something, and he ignored her. He rebutted her. He went off, just went about, said something probably, and then went off. But she didn't take that as a cue as to fuck off and mind your own business. No. She persisted and went back and looked for something that she could have in common. Ah, the camera that you're using. I recognize it. It's the same similar camera that I've got. Which is apparently I think it was an analog camera, which has a different flash mode. I think the old one, the bulb flashes or something like that. Anyway, so he, that's when he was able to strike up this conversation. But remember, he had rebutted her the first time. He didn't, he just sort of brushed her to one side. But she didn't take no for an answer. Or it wasn't said, but the indication was there. Yet she then went through this elaborate texting of him, and eventually, once she got her information from the texts, she was able to hand that over to a lesbian, feminist, evil bastard magazine, who then published this man's private life for all the world to see. We've just had a ridiculous nonsense in the Kavanaugh justice nomination, where we've had a 52-year-old shriveled old prune talking in a squeaky baby voice, and a man who is, I believe, 3 years older than her, looking remarkably fresh and in good conditioning compared to her. You see, this is what women get to when they get old, get past 50 or get past 40. The only good thing about that woman was her I think it's cobalt blue suit that she wore. I like that suit. I think more women should wear proper suits up to the neck, and dress well. Not the kind of nonsense that you see on CNN where they've got, these dresses that are sleeveless. And why do they need to wear that kind of nonsense? And their tight fitting ridiculousness. Anyway, getting to the story. So we don't know what went on with these so-called allegations, and it's all piling out now because of this nonsense Me Too business. But I was quite interested when I was working on this guy's line. I thought, because of the Demore debacle, where there were suggestions that in the company there are a lot of men who are conservatives, but holy sweet Christmas. They ain't coming out. No way. They are definitely staying in the closet while they're at Google. They're just not coming out, mate, because they know if they put their head above the parapet, boom, it'll be knocked off. They'll be out that company as quick as Demore was. But obviously there are a few. I mean, look, here's a cuck. This one looks like a cuck. Quite a lot of the guys in Google will be cucks, but there will be conservatives in there as well. Or, liberal guys, moving towards the conservative side of things. But it's quite interesting that's what I thought. That's what came to my mind. That there would be quite a few guys who are just, going with the flow in order to keep their jobs. So thousands of Google employees have staged a walkout in offices around the world in protest at the company's alleged protection of senior employees accused of sexual harassment and assault. That was the 1st of November. Very apt. Staff in London, Zurich, Dublin, what? I don't know what the bloody hell is this? I ain't going to bother pronouncing it. Tokyo, Singapore, and its Silicon Valley headquarters arranged protests backed by management after a post on Google's internal social network suggested a woman's walk gained hundreds of votes. So here you have, again, this is a business set up by two men in a garage of that stupid bint. I can't remember her name, who's the head of YouTube. It now employs quite a few people, and its employees, I think 69% are men, 31 are women. So this is a company, one of the most successful companies in the world. And you've got these harpies are now wanting to disrupt it. The same thing happened in Uber. It just seems to me that we're just getting this constant, feminist who are literally fighting consistently, day in, day out, for female supremacy. They have a lot of it in place at the moment, but they're going for the last, knock-ins. They suppose once they get the numbers swapped over from 69% male to 69% female, they'll have achieved what they wanted to achieve. That's the equality they're looking for, and more, obviously. I need to find out what the number breakdown of Yahoo is now, because there's that woman now in charge has brought in a lot of women into the company. Has it made any difference? Who uses Yahoo these days? I mean, it was my was it my first browser? I believe it was. I think Yahoo back in 95. No, there was Exact, I think, or there were one or two that were starting out. I don't believe Yahoo was the first, but it became a big in 93. I was using them and a few other people as well. Alta Vista, that's it. Alta Vista. Don't know if they're still going or not. They were one of the browsers that search engines that I was using, and Yahoo. More than 1,000 employees at the company's headquarters in Mountain View, California, carrying signs that said "Stand up for Google women." I wonder if there were quite a few guys who just didn't bother. just went about their business. I mean, let's have a look. More than 1,000. I mean, how many of those people actually at the headquarters are there that actually said, all came out? I don't think they all came out. And act now for our future. What the fuck are you talking about? Act now for what? What are you talking about? It's just nonsense. Act now for our future. What is the future doomed because of what? Because a couple of guys were, told to leave or asked to leave. Remember, these are allegations. We don't know what they are. We don't know what went on. We don't know what these women are accusing these guys of. Staff chanted, "Women's rights are workers." What the fuck are you talking about? Women's rights are workers' rights, you fuck. And not okay, not okay. Google, I almost said not okay. Not okay, Google. Not okay, Google. Hundreds of employees at its San Francisco office walked out, holding signs with "Don't be evil," a company motto, printed on it. Don't be evil. But in order to don't be evil. But the trouble is, though, it seems to me that Google and a lot of these other companies are acting evil, being far, far left that they are, and have been trying to control the way employees think in a left-leaning way. I would say that's evil. An employee said, "We are here to collectively stand up and say, no more, not here." What a bunch of fucks. Holy sweet Christmas. Workers took to make a makeshift stage to share stories of harassment they claim to have experienced at Google. One app developer said that she would never encourage children to think about a job in technology, likening it to sending lambs to the slaughter. What the fuck is she talking about? I mean, so what are you still doing there then? I mean, listen to this. One app developer says she would never encourage children to think about a job in technology. Really? So what would you encourage them to do then? Young little girls. How about going into the sewer system? How about, digging up the roads and renewing the sewer pipes and the water pipes and the gas pipes? Oh, how about dealing with million volts electrical cable, overhead electrical cables, where you've got to wear a suit and to be able to handle it so that the voltage passes through over you via the suit? Oh, how about working in the high in the nuclear industry? How about women working? We need to see more, maybe half of the employees working out in oil platforms. How about more women miners, huge more miners working down the mines? Maybe those are the jobs that we should be aiming little girls for. These high-paying jobs, high-risk jobs. We need to get women in the army, 50-50 representation in the army, and they need to be on the front line. That's equality. I want to see women in the army, in the navy, okay, in all the flying service. I want to see half women pilots fly in the army and in the navy and in the air force. That's equality. Said that she would never encourage children to think about a job in the technology. What are you talking about? I mean, boys go into there with no problem at all. They go have no problem at all. This is just bullshit. Absolute top bullshit. I'm just astonished about the nonsense that some of these women, and half of them, do we know really, really? You know, a lot of these could be just made up stories of just pure nonsense. Kathy Bai, one of the march organizers, said, I experienced sexual harassment at Google and I did not feel safe talking about it. That feeling of not being safe is why we are here today. A Google employee who helped organize the event said, boy, did I underestimate how big this was going to be. There's a lady, university professor, female professor, and she says that women really do overvalue their worth. They really fucking do. I was astonished by what she said. I think her name is Phil Mengel. I can't pronounce the name. She's in Canada, and she was a die-hard feminist, real die-hard feminist. But as time has gone on, she's obviously changed her views. She even stated her father was accused of sexual harassment or something happened to him before he died in his 80s. Nobody's saying that these things don't happen. Of course they do. But there's got to be a better way to handle this and to deal with this. You know, because remember, there's always two sides to a story. There's always two sides to a story. And there is such things as perhaps as signals that seem to be given off by women that men perhaps do misinterpret. I don't know. I really don't know. I think there is a solution that Google should be looking at, and that's having separate offices for both men and women. Period. Separate offices for men and women. Because you see, what these women want, and I say a lot of this is, I believe, shit and nonsense. What these women want is to be in control. What these women want is more than 50% working at Google, a company that was set up by two men. That's what they want. This is what these women want. They want to be in control of a tech company, these tech companies. Women, listen, if you're app developers and you're coders and all this, why don't you go off and set up another similar Silicon Valley just for women? Why don't you do that? If men are so evil and so horrible to work with, leave. Go and find your own. No, we have a right to be at Google. Really? Nobody has a right to anything. But I think one of the things I've noticed, I think that women do honestly believe that they have a right to any job, period. Whether they're any good at it or not is irrelevant. They must be given this job. Look at the STEM field. They are deliberately going out of their way to hand women thousands of pounds of money. And they're taking it. Of course, they're not stupid. They're taking the money. Work there for a year or a couple of years and then go and find something else that they really want to do. The protests were sparked by reports last week that the senior executive, Andy Rubin, received a $90 million payoff when he left Google in 2014 following a sexual harassment claim. Mr. Rubin has called the reports false allegations. Here we see, I think there's a Twitter bollocks here, nonsense. An end to forced arbitration in cases of sexual harassment and discrimination. An end to forced arbitration. Well, isn't that about sitting down and discussing? Look, a lot of this stuff is internal. Okay. And companies deal with a lot of things internal, theft, verbal abuse, all sorts of other things internally. But if it's so serious, then it needs to be passed over to the police. I mean, if they can sit down and work out an agreement between said people, okay, because not every case is going to be brought out to be aired in the general public. There are things that go on in companies all the time that are not sexual. And so why should they should stop? Why should they be to end it? I don't understand. Anyway, look, the silver lining in this, from my point of view, is because I'm at this moment in time, as you can see here, my browser is Opera, and this browser has an inbuilt VPN, a free one, and it's actually quite good. And so for me, I'm actually trying to move away from Google, and use Opera, or even maybe Firefox. I'm not sure, but you've got to start looking at alternative, networks. I mean, there's an organization called BitChute, another sort of a competitor to YouTube, very tiny in comparison, but it's started. It's there. There's Minds, which is trying to be a competitor to Facebook again, very, very tiny, but it's there. These things grow, and they have to start from somewhere. MySpace was the big daddy at one time. Look where it is now. The same thing could happen to Facebook in the future. 5-10 years from now. So this is the reason why we need to have at least 2 or 3 social media similar to Facebook. Just to have one Facebook that seems to be dominating all social media, I think is wrong. Or is it wrong? It is what it is. You don't have to use Facebook. I don't use Facebook much at all. I hardly use it. But I do use Minds a lot now because, a commitment to, here we go. You see, look at this. This is just fucking shit. A commitment to end pay and opportunity inequality. You see, they're just using this to bring in the nonsense that they want to bring in. It's just fucking shit. A publicly disclosed sexual harassment transparent Transparency report. Transparency. A clear, uniform, globally inclusive process for reporting sexual misconduct safely and anonymously. Elevate the chief diversity officer to answer directly to the CEO. Again, this is just pure bullshit. And make recommendations directly to the board and to the board of directors. In addition, appoint an employee representative to the board. Holy fucking sweet Christmas. Gentlemen, if you set up your own business and you want to be as big as Google, this is the nonsense and the shit that you will be expected to experience. In the UK, the government forced, I think it's 250 companies, or was it employees that had more than 250 employees and above, to report their status of their what they were paying men and women, and it came out at 78% of men are earning earning more than women, supposedly. But again, they didn't do a breakdown of why. It was just, there was the raw data, that was it. And then you got your feminists flapping their nasty fannies everywhere and screaming and shouting, "Hey, there's evidence of I don't know what evidence of inequality, of discrimination against women." This is the kind of shit and nonsense that is going on in today's society, driven by the feminist agenda. This is what we're experiencing today. Google walk out for real change. We, Google twats and contractors, will walk out on November the 1st, 10 minutes past 11 a.m. to demand these 5 real changes. So the twat, I can't pronounce his name, I'm not going to bother, you sort it out yourself. Google's chief executive revealed last week that 48 employees had been fired for sexual harassment in the last 2 years. So what? These things go on. What can you do? You put safeguards here and there where you can. It is what it is. You can't stop people from stealing. People will always steal in the company. These things are there. Put safeguards. And try and, maybe have psychologists there to help some of these people, both men and women, so that, to find out, because many of these guys, whether we like it or not, are lonely guys. They're doing things that they shouldn't be doing, but we don't know what these. We're interested to know what they are, because a lot of them could be false allegations. We've already had in the UK 4 men that were accused of sexual harassment, or even, I think, of rape even. But thank God they had evidence, I think mobile phone evidence and social media evidence, that these 4 girls were lying. And they admitted it. But it took nearly 2 years to acquit, I think, one of the guys. What about these? What about these kind of people? What about them? What about justice for them? Let me continue. This week, he sent an email to all employees apologising for the company's actions, promising to take a much harder line in future and giving the protest his blessing. Outside Google's London headquarters, only around 2 Listen to this. This is quite good. Outside Google's London headquarters, only around 24 employees came outside, saying protesters' organisers had told them to hold their walkout in a conference room inside due to the inclement weather. It was pissing down. Pissing down. I think that's a message from God, I personally believe, to say that your walkout is a load of fucking bollocks. Complete bollocks. And so the good Lord gave his message out and pissed on their parade. That's what the good Lord did. Yeah. Sam Sutton. Is that a bloke or a woman? We don't know. A developer said, there is a big crowd inside. People are talking internally about the issues. We are supporting anyone, anywhere that has been harassed in the workplace. There is a feeling everywhere that any kind of harassment in the workplace is completely unacceptable. Things have changed a lot. I've been working for 40 years in offices in the past, and I know that a lot of these things were swept under the carpet. Mr. Dutton. Oh, so it's a geezer, he said. There is a change in mood, which is a good thing. I think bosses are listening. How we make changes that have a real effect is more complex. It's a larger project. So we got some bunch of wankers in San Francisco. Where do you expect? The group of workers who organised the walkout called Google Walkout for Change, Real Change, said they had 5 demands for the company. They are demanding that Google end pay inequality. What has that got to do with this sexual harassment bollocks? It's got nothing to do with it. It's a separate case. Why are you bringing it into this? You know, this is just fucking shite. And the thing is, let's look at it. They are demanding that Google end pay inequality. What do you mean? Women are paid exactly the same as men per hour. But what they're saying is, hold on a minute, what it is, yeah. You see, what it is, because some guys do a lot of overtime, and some women, I don't know, do the standard 48, and the guy might do 60 hours. Maybe what they're trying to do is either stop men from doing those 60 hours, saying, no, you can't do 60 hours. Because if you do, it means that you'll earn more money than this woman who's not wanting to or willing to do the 60 hours. So in order to make pay equal for everybody, you can only do 48 hours. Period. That's it. So how does the rest of the, who will then cover that work? Either employ more people, or you shift the hours in which people work. So in order to be able to cover the hours that some of these guys were working, making a business maybe more 24 hours rather than 9 to 5 for some people, although I'm sure that Google's obviously a 24-hour business. But there will be people who will work set times and then maybe work a little bit of that extra hour or a couple of hours to cover certain projects. So what is, again, end pay inequality? It's just a load of shit. Come clean about the number of harassment claims at the company. What will that achieve? I mean, So if they say, you see, a lot of these so-called harassment claims, we do not know what they are. Okay, I'll come clean with that about it with the details. We want to know exactly the written details of exactly what went on. Bring it out. Let's all see the harassment claims. Let's see exactly what went on. There are going to be some that are going to be horrendous. We know that. But there's going to be some that are going to be 50-50. You know. The company said they wanted Google. They said they wanted Google to end a policy of forced arbitration, which prohibits staff from suing in harassment cases and to appoint an employee representative to its board. Why? Which prohibits staff from suing in harassment cases. Well, it depends on the severity of the harassment. If it is that bad, it needs to be reported to the police. And that I agree with. That should be reported as standard to the police and let the police investigate. Period. That's what it should be. And then you probably find when they do a proper investigation that a lot of these so-called harassment cases are a load of fucking shit. Just like the ones that are here in the UK when some young men have been accused. But because they got luckily they had their mobile phones and there was a media that showed that this was a lot of it was just nonsense. I mean, that mattress girl bitch walking around with a mattress for what period of time? When the guy in question was ostracized in university, he paid good money to go to university, and he wasn't allowed to study. Okay, he had to sue the university, and he won because it was bullshit. When he presented evidence showing that she was lying, nothing was. They just didn't take it on board. We must believe women always, regardless of whether they're telling the truth or not. Always believe women, regardless of whether they're telling the truth or not, because we hold women to a different standard. Simple as that. It's still equality, but they're held to a different standard. In an announcement titled "Time's Up at Google," you geezers out there who are conservative in Google, you better clench your buttocks, mate. Better clench them. They said, while Google has championed the language of diversity, inclusive, which is what communism is about. Substantive actions to address systematic. Oh, for fuck's sake! See, they just keep bringing more and more and more shit and nonsense. When it was about one particular thing, they're now bringing another. Systematic racism, increased equality, increased equity, and stop sexual harassment have been few and far between. As I said, I want to know. I want to know if I think that's one thing I agree with. Let's bring out all the report. Let's lay them out bare for everybody in the world to see exactly what these cases are. Okay, and so let everybody be a judge. You want that? Let's bring it all out and let everybody see. Look at the Ansari when he was accused of the nonsense that this silly little bitch said. Why is she allowed to keep her anonymity? Why? Why doesn't Ansari sue this bastard whatever, I think it's called Babe something or whatever. Why doesn't he sue them? You know, because I believe he himself is part of the left, and he's just been cannibalized by the left. So, or partly cannibalized, and he's afraid to sue them. But he shouldn't be. He should take them to the cleaners. You know, he should be suing them. The Brett Kavanaugh situation. What is it? Is there going to be any criminal proceedings there for this woman? It was with a nonsense allegation of 36 years ago. You know, what's going to happen about her while she's rolling in her millions of dollars that she's made? The woman is clearly mentally disturbed. She's a nutcase. She needs to be brought to court. But nothing's going to happen, as far as I can see. This is disgraceful. Again, another standard. We're all equal, but women live by another standard in this day and age. So, we have Richard DeVoe, a director at Google's sister company X, resigned on Tuesday. DeVille had been accused of multiple instances of harassment, including improper conduct with a job applicant. He apologized for an error in judgment. Fair enough, he's admitted it. He had to go. Done. Finish. End of story. Move on. Whatever his name is, said, employees have raised constructive ideas for how we can improve our policies and processes going forward. We are taking in all their feedbacks so we can turn these ideas into actions. Some of you geezers, be careful about giving your feedback, because you know what happened to old Demore. But as I said before, listen, the way to deal with this situation is to have separate offices for women and separate offices for men. Done. There's no problem. They'll still be in the same building. Okay, but you could separate, maybe the women on the first floor, top floors coming down, and then the guys could be on the ground floors, and their entrances could be a different entrance to coming into the building, and the women could be a different entrance going up to the floors they need to go to. And probably the only place they could meet without any problem would be the canteen. I think that would be great. The men could concentrate on doing their work and doing their great work. The women can be upstairs filing their nails and whatever, if that's what they do, or painting their nails, or putting a ton of makeup on. Who gives a shit? But it would be very, very interesting. I would think Google should look at that. The New York Times, oh God, reported last week that Google had allowed senior executives who were subject to credible production is terrible, allegations to leave quietly with massive severance payouts and agreements not to work. Oh, okay. An agreement not to work for Google's competitors. Truly. Oh, wow. Oh, God. It said Rubin. Holy shit. Holy shit. Rubin, the inventor of Android, had conducted an affair with a fellow employee who then accused of coercing her into coercing her into sex in a hotel room. Wow. So hold on a minute. So he had an affair with an employee with this particular employee. Wow. So is that why he was kicked out on his ass? Because he had an affair with a willing employee? Did that employee then dub him in the shit by revealing, oh, I had, or stated it was sexual harassment? No, it was an affair. I mean, holy sweet Christmas! And this is the inventor of Android, a serious geezer. Wow. Divorce papers filed by Mr. Rubin's ex-wife, whom he met at Google, revealed that the 55-year-old's net worth has increased to about 350 million since leaving Google. Ms. Rubin claimed Mr. Rubin had multiple ownership relationships with other women while they were married and paid them hundreds of thousands of dollars. Oh, God. The storm over sexual harassment follows a string of internal disputes at Google. In April, more than 3,000 employees signed a petition against the company's involvement with a US Department of Defense AI project that studies imagery that could be used for better targeting of airstrikes. Holy sweet shit on a stick. See, some of these bastards in Google will destroy the company. A company that's literally only been going since 1999, 1998, 99. So has been going around 20 years. Could be brought down by bastards in the employee. I mean, you turn down work of that magnitude because of a bunch of wankers, just 3,000 twats in the employee. And they're dictating to you what work you should be getting as a company. Extraordinary. Extraordinary. Then in September, Google confirmed that it was working on a search engine for use in China, which leaked documents had suggested would allow government censorship and tracking of citizens. I think it's quite funny, this. So he's obviously someone who likes quite a few women. Well, there's nothing wrong in that. He likes women. It's just the trouble is he was married. She claimed Mr. Rubin had multiple ownership relationships with other women while they were married and paid them hundreds of thousands of dollars. She didn't like that. Holy sweet Christmas. There's old Elon again. Yeah, so this is all bullshit and nonsense at the end of the day. As I say, me, myself, I am trying to move away from from Google. It is difficult because, there's a lot of things it's linked in. It's done very, very well, linking your email in, linking us into its search engine. It's the #1 search engine in the world, period, at the moment. Bing is not even any close to Google search engine. Yahoo. I loved Yahoo many years ago, but now it's just a blip in comparison to the other two, especially Google. So I think Google should really run a much tighter ship. Should personally, I think you should get rid of those employees. You don't want to work there anymore. Piss off and hire a new set. Get a new set of people. Because at the end of the day, these people are just going to destroy this company. They will do. They'll destroy this company. But anyway, I've had my say. I think. David Cameron's rumored return as a future foreign secretary raises eyebrows amongst MPs. Too bloody right. He was the one that caused the Brexit to happen. Oh dear. Anyway, so that's my view. I think they're a bunch of wankers, a lot of these Google employees. And I would like to see full reports spread out in the open for everybody to see. Anyway, and then we can make a judgment ourselves on these so-called allegations. Thanks for listening, and please, if any of you enjoy this, can you please subscribe? I need some subscribers here now. Thank you.